Actually, 1 o'clock, one minute after.
Yeah, bring it in on the right side. Okay, how's this?
Sure.
Test, test, test.
Testing 1, 2.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Oh, this is yours.
Alive and well. Testing.
calling this meeting to order. This is the monthly PAC board meeting tonight. We have meetings almost every night this week, so it's hard to remember exactly, but yeah, it's a couple of minutes after 5, so let's get started with this. Open the meeting and let's see. Let's start with the approval of the final agenda.
So moved.
Okay,
A second.
okay, good. All approve? Okay, that carries. Where's Steve? He must be on his way. Okay.
Behave
So-
yourself.
Okay, let's start then with public comment. And remember, you have 3 minutes for items that are not on the agenda. You can speak to things on the agenda when we get there. So 3 minutes each, not on the agenda.
I'd like to interrupt
Okay.
by having us do our introductions.
Well,
like we do.
let's introduce ourselves. I'm John Hanson.
Oh, I'm Jay Shelfer.
So John is president, Jay is vice president. I'm Carol Joy Harris, secretary. This is for the benefit of new people. And absent right now is Steve Ploker, treasurer. Hopefully he will be here. Mary Curry, who's also vice president, may or may not be able to attend tonight via Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, so that's all of us. Oops, get over there. So, any public comment?
Hi, Marty Gelman. This is the question that I came up with. Has an offer been made to the city? A purchase price offer?
During any public comment, board members cannot answer questions or respond.
No.
Issues raised may be agendized for a subsequent meeting at the direction of the board.
Okay,
Just
great.
a reminder. You were waiting.
That was quick.
Yeah, actually, it's that's why it's called public comment and not public questions. Yeah. Any other public comment? Okay, nothing there. Great. Let's go on then to our consent calendar. And what we need to do is approve the minutes from October 7.
So
So-
moved.
Second,
All approve?
aye.
Excuse me, I
Oh.
should have said, is there any discussion before we approve? No discussion and it's been approved? Good, let's go on. So let's go on to item D, reports. Now, generally what I do, which is not quite kosher, I know Carol Joy usually frowns at me for this, but my preference is that each item after each item on the reports is to open for questions, and then we answer questions afterwards, close public comment and go on to the next.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
It's introduced, the
Mhm.
board discusses
Hmm.
public comment, and it comes back to the board, and then we vote if we're going to vote, but not. for-
Yes, if I remember the
reports.
process
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so the first one, Communications Committee, is Mary Curry is the head of that committee, and she's not here right now. So I spoke to her today, and she said that really, in addition to all the things that you have been getting from the Communications Committee, the thing that is in process right now is a FAQ. She's making a frequently asked questions sheet form, and it's in process, and might not be done for a week or two, but ooh, that's not good. Oh, you're okay. All right. Okay, so
Could
anyway,
you
that's
turn up the volume a little bit? Please?
What? Volume more?
I just want the volume up a
Okay.
little bit.
I want it down a little bit.
yeah. So
Wear earplugs.
that's the report from the Communications Committee.
Okay. Any discussion on this, Jay?
No?
Communications Committee? Okay, let's open this to public comment on communications.
Alan Gump, 6 View Ridge Drive. FAQ on what?
You should have asked Serena.
Okay, any other public comments on communications?
Communications.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's close the public comment if there's no more public comment here. And Carol Joy, you want to address what communication?
No.
What?
If it's back to the board,
Yeah.
no, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, great. Okay.
There's one raised hand right now.
Ah.
Oh, I see. Okay, Janine Thomas, go ahead, Janine. Go ahead and unmute yourself for your question.
She can unmute herself. Come on. Unmute yourself.
Janine, are you there? You need to unmute yourself for your question, please. Going once?
She could put it in chat.
Yeah, she could
Yeah,
put it in
maybe.
chat. Let me see if it's there, actually. It's a possibility.
Oh, she lowered her hand.
Chat, we've got 2 chats. Nope, not there. Okay, and I don't see her question there anymore. Okay, so no more questions. Let's go on then to item
D.
Item 2, D2. It says receive report from Resident Ownership Discovery Committee.
Good evening. Our first Marin Valley Cooperative member meeting is this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. It's historical and non-members are welcome. Members will vote on their interim bylaws and 3 board policies, the Code of Ethics, Conflict of Interest, and the procurement policies that guide the board. The ROD Committee has gone through a long process to receive and incorporate feedback from the community, as well as the input from Rock USA, CCCD, and Goldfarb Littman attorney on these documents. These are all required by law when forming a corporation. Co-op members will also ratify the approval of Goldfarb Littman as our attorney. Members will also affirm the PAC community vote of March of this year to name the current PAC board members as directors of the Marin Valley Cooperative. The term of the directors is 1 year from Thursday or earlier if we take possession of the park in less than a year. So Carol Joy Harris sent out updated final interim bylaws and 3 board policies via email today. There will be limited copies available on Thursday at the clubhouse, and members will receive a ballot on Thursday evening. And those cooperative members unable to attend in person must contact Carol Joy Harris by 4 p.m. on November the 13th. If you can't attend, so that we can arrange to get a ballot to you, ambassadors will be delivering these. So all ballots must be placed in the wooden box by 6 p.m. on Monday, 18th of November, to be counted. And the wooden box is here in the foyer of the office. And there will be a meeting of the Marin Valley Cooperative tomorrow evening, and I'm sure this will be discussed further. But it is a historic meeting, and it's a very exciting one. It's our first member meeting as a corporation on our path to becoming an independently owned cooperative. And so just further information on the FAQ that Mary Carey is putting together, it's just really about the ROD process and everything related to us becoming self-owned as a cooperative. So, thank you.
Okay, and so the board first and then
David
public and then
King
board.
raised his hand.
Okay,
Okay,
David,
fine.
unmute
board
yourself.
first.
Okay, any comments from the board?
Yes. Oh, yes, thank
All
you.
right. How about,
To add to what Serena said, just to further clarify, Rock USA has been guiding us in this process and is, and our attorneys. And the issue with this vote, this first vote, and we're going to have a lot of votes, is that proxies are not allowed. And so, like with PAC, we could do proxies, and we have. You've all seen that process. And Rock USA counts Zoom votes as proxies. So first we were thinking, oh, we can only do it in person. And the problem with that is that there are many people, we don't know how many in this park, who can't come in person, right? This is where we live. So the solution is to have ballots. And that way everybody can get a ballot. And if the person can't get to the clubhouse to put it in the box, they can have somebody put it in the box for them. So that's why this process is the way it is. And it's different from PAC. Okay, I know this is PAC board meeting, but I just wanted to explain that. The other thing I want to say is that that ballot box is still open for business for those few remaining people in the park who have not yet signed a joining agreement and put their $25 check in. So that ballot box from November 4th, it's still open for that right now and will be for the foreseeable future. But from November 14th through the 18th, it will also serve as the ballot box for this first member vote for the co-op. So the ballot box is going to be doing double duty there. And there will be a sign on that, and there have been and will be forms for the signing agreement and envelopes for that. And there will also be a sign saying, here's where to put your ballot for the co-op.
okay, and just to reiterate there a little bit is that you must be a member to vote. You must be a member of the co-op. You can become a member at the same time you vote, but you have to put in your form and your check as well as your ballot. That's fine too. But just remember, and there's only one person from each household that can vote. So you could fight over that, draw straws, get divorced and remarry, whatever it takes. Uh, yeah, okay. I think anything else, Jay?
No, open it up.
Okay, let's open it for public comment then. Mary. I mean, no, not Mary. Irma.
Close. Um,
Irma first.
Same number of letters. Um, If this is appropriate, please let me know one way or the other. But as far as I understand, the FAQ is being written for um, a lot of different reasons, but one of them is to address a lot of the concerns that some people have about not joining. Their reservations, their issues, and if you have those, please contact Mary and tell her what they are, because other people may have these same concerns, and she will be answering these to the best of our ability with the information that we have now. So please give her your reservations, because a lot of people would be influenced by that. Thank you.
Thank you, Irma. Any other public comment on item 2 here? Okay, so we have David King online. Go ahead and unmute, David.
Can you hear me okay? Can you
Yes,
hear
go ahead.
me? So two things. One, based on Serena, what you were saying, is the bylaws now still based on these bylaws that came in the email today? Is there still open comments available, or is it locked down as final?
Is that it? Thank you, David.
No, he
That's
said he
one.
had 2.
Oh, another one. Okay.
I was hoping to get an answer.
Well, we can't answer right now, but what's your other comment?
When do we get the ballots?
Okay. Did you hear that?
No.
When do we get the ballots?
Well,
Okay.
when do we get the ballots? Okay, great. Okay, anything else, David?
No, that's
Okay. Any other public comment? Let's close public comment and come back to the board.
So did you want to make some comments concerning some of the questions?
Let's see. Yes, I can do that. As far as the interim bylaws, yeah, we've taken into account all of the public comments that came in. We've gone through the lawyer, we've gone through Rock USA and CCCD, and we've gone through ourselves several times. And what you see is what you get. That's what we've come up with and what we've landed with for the interim bylaws. And let's see, the other question
Was about ballots. I can
Oh,
address that.
go ahead.
So I'm keeping a list of the people who have so far read the resident update. Oh, hello. And said to me that they cannot come to the member meeting on the 14th to receive a ballot. And so I'm keeping a list. And after the 14th, where the people who are here will get their ballots, the community ambassadors will bring ballots to the people who have contacted me by the 13th saying, I can't get to the meeting, please give me a ballot. And those ballots will go to those people, I would assume, on the 15th. That's the plan. So that everybody has a chance to get them in on the 15th, 16th, 17th, or 18th. And then I count them on the 19th.
Okay, uh, do we need public comment open again? I think we do. Go ahead.
I move to reopen public comment.
All approved?
Thank you. I just want to make it clear that we have really done our best to incorporate and consider all of the comments from the community. But every time there are comments and the review process starts, it involves a lot of organizations. It's not just decided amongst ourselves. It goes out to Rock USA, CCCD, the attorney, and so we can't keep going through this process every time a second or third comment comes in. That's why we've been gathering them all these last few weeks. So we've really done our best to serve the community and listen and incorporate these. So I hope you will appreciate that we can't keep changing these. And again, I just want to remind people that these are the interim bylaws that will help see us through until we become owners of the park. And then there will be a much broader engagement in the community on the new bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena.
Hi, Juliet Mortimer, Mac Lamb, 24 View Ridge Drive. And I might be a poor listener. Yeah, I kind of am. So I want you to reiterate for me. On November 14th, can just I come to the meeting and represent my household? Is it one vote per household, or does David have to attend as well with me on the 14th for representation? Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on this go round? Okay, let's close public comment, and I will say then that you can come, David can come, only one of you can vote though. And you can bring your friends and neighbors too. Everybody's welcome to the meeting.
I'll just add that it's probably going to be a short meeting because we're just going to be reminding people, here's the 4 things you're voting on, 5 actually. Well, 4 documents and then approving Goldfarb Lippman. Well, and approving us as well, 6 things. Okay. Anyway, here's what you're going to be voting on, and here's your ballot, and bye-bye. Go vote. So that's all. But we want as many people here as possible so we can hand them their ballots so that the ambassadors don't have to go hand out 300 ballots. So.
Okay.
Good.
Anything else on this number? Where are we? Number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on then to item D3 and receive a report from PAC Treasurer, and item 4, receive a report from the MBMCC Finance Committee, including the current debt service coverage ratio. That's you, Steve.
Got here just in time. Sorry, I was thinking 5:30. There's this whole list of meetings this week, and some of them are at 5:30.
Right.
And
but
I
the
I was
Echo
actually
said
busy doing.
4:30 for this one.
This was 4:30?
Yeah, the Echo said that, but it's anyway.
I'm an hour late.
No.
I was doing PAC business. I was trying
Okay.
to update our Secretary of State information statement, which is, they have a terrible website. I mean, you do the input, you get to the end. You cannot finish because there are mistakes in the previous screens. Oh, great. So I go back, looking for red writing to tell me
Yeah.
what the mistake is. No, you got to figure it out. So I look at every field. Oh, maybe I was supposed to put something in that one. Then I get to the end. Anyway, I was in the middle of that process and I looked at my watch thinking it was at 5:30. That's why I'm here. Otherwise, anyway,
You're early.
sorry.
Hey, Steve, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your microphone is on upside down. If you'll flip it over, then we'll get more consistent audio out of you.
Did you hear that? Your microphone is upside down. You have to.
Flip it over.
Yeah, every time you say up, we hear down.
There you go. Perfect. Yes, that's right.
Wow.
That's right. No, other way you had it. Other way, nope, other way.
Is yours on right?
Yeah.
Like this?
Yes, sir.
Like that?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Wait.
Can you hear me now?
No. What happened?
There you go. You're up.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey, okay.
We got it. All right.
Okay, my apologies for being late. PAC Treasurer's report. Our petty cash PAC account stands at $1,787. This is for the end of September. Remember, we're always a month late because even though October just ended, we never get reports until later in the month. So we have to report on the prior month. So this is reporting on September. Not much happens in the PAC petty cash bank account. An example, Anila pays the domain name for the year and asks me for a receipt. So I write her a check for $35 or something. So and 6 months will go by before someone else needs a reimbursement. So the amounts is pretty steady. PAC annual budget, which is 6,000. Year to date, we've spent zero. Or at least zero is what shows up on in our financial statements. These aren't necessarily always perfect, but that might be right.
What a report.
More likely than not,
Be right.
more likely than not, it's right. You can see I've been around the city of Novato bookkeeping too long.
And this is for which year?
DSCR calculation. I go through all these things and it turns out to be 1.9 for the end of September. That's not bad, because looking at the September, I could see that to come in at 2.0, we generally have to show 100,000 a month of profit. And it's been 3 months and we show only 225,000 a month. Ideally, it would be 300,000, but there are some items in here that make up for it and bring it right down, right up to 300,000. So, and essentially, we're right on track. So I got no complaints about the financial. On the other hand, doesn't mean anything. It's just been 3 months and all it counts really is at the end of the year. And there are all kinds of things that aren't included here, like the city does not amortize our insurance expense, which is now 300,000 over 12 months. That would be 25,000 a month. No, they wait until the end of the year, boom, 300,000 next June. Sewer is the opposite. We pay it, no, it's not the opposite, it's different. We pay it in the middle of the year and Helsing doesn't amortize that either. I have to do a bunch of calculations to get the calculation of the actual sewer expense on a monthly basis. They just drop it all in one month, $370,000. So that month looks really skewed. Anyway, so 1.9 isn't bad for a DSCR at this point in the year. And the legal fund and all that we talk about later.
Right.
Okay. I try and make a boring topic a little bit interesting.
And you do.
Otherwise, it's just numbers.
You do.
Well, let's make it a little more interesting then. You know, that one thing about the Finance Committee is that it has expanded from it had been before just Steve. Steve was the whole committee. He was the first and last person. Now there's a finance a subcommittee for budgets, which David King is on, and there is also a finance subcommittee for financial resources. It's led by Brad Witherspoon, and there are a few other people on there as well. So as the finance committee goes forward, we are going to have to start looking at finances, and we're going to have to start planning about finances. In the end, finance is going to be a major topic, as we know that when it comes to actually buying the park, everybody in here is going to ask two things. What's it going to cost? What's in it for me? Those are the things that people are interested in. So we're spending the vast majority of our time right now, because it's so complex, on the what's in it for me part. In the corporation, the co-op, and eventually the LAHC and how that works. And there's still a ways to go on doing that. But it's time actually now to start thinking about and talking about the finances. So where we're starting right now is working on the line items in our regular budget. So how good are those? Where are they going? What do we really need as a you know, when we get to be a co-op? And what, you know, are the things in there that we don't need or will change dramatically, or even not quite so dramatically? So we have to go through basically line by line and reevaluate everything that's in the monthly annual budgets. So that's one thing the board is doing right now. The other thing is coming down the road as we get more information in about our capital expense projections, all of our deferred maintenance that's been not happening for the last few years. And, all of these things will have values to them. And so the finance committee then will be looking at those, plugging those in, working out the budgets for what's coming in and what needs to come in, what's going out, and what needs to go out. So at any rate, just to bring up to speed, this is what the finance committee is going to do, and they are actually doing now. And just wanted to say also that they will, from time to time, need access um, to the Rock USA CCCD people, because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of numbers out there that can help us out a lot. And I think we can help them out a lot too as we go along. And then there's other aspects, legal aspects, where the Finance Committee then will be accessing our legal counsel along the way too. And that hasn't come up yet, but it probably will before too long. So just want to say, bring you up to date. This is what our finance team now is doing. Expanded to 2 subcommittees. There's several people involved in this now, and that we're starting to crunch numbers. So
Excuse me,
yes,
I have some questions.
sure.
Is that the finance committee that now has 2 committees, 2 subcommittees?
Yes.
Okay, and then my second question is, so you go to buy a car and you walk around and you kick it and you go, look, there's a dent there. So I'm taking $50 off my offer. And wait, this isn't working right. There's another $100, right? And isn't that kind of what we're doing I mean, we don't even have an appraisal. We're not even there yet on how much the property is worth by an appraiser. But these, when you say these things are going to help us out, is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yes, that's sort of the thing. And actually buying a car is an excellent analogy too, because you go into the lot and you say, what do you want for this thing? And they say, "Ugh." And that's just open for negotiation right there. You want what?
Yeah. For this piece of junk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The finance committee will be figuring out what we can afford to pay for this property. We are a nonprofit organization consisting of low-income seniors. There is no profit from this business. Therefore, it's not worth 30 million to this organization. Now, what will it be worth? It will be worth what we can afford to pay. When the income comes in and the expenses have been paid, both which are fairly fixed, we run a very tight ship. What the bottom line is, gets to be split between 2 things. Some money to the reserves for those future repairs that we know we have to make, which are quite large, and some money to pay the debt. Those are both really important and of great concern to the city, who wants to see us succeed. We have to be able to service both of those needs, long-term repairs and paying the debt. So that's going to be a balancing act that we will be doing when we get close to making an offer to the city. It won't be based on what some developers think this place is worth. No, that's not who's using it. It's worth what the people who are using it can manage to pay for it. And we pay for it through debt. It's going to be a completely leveraged transaction. There's going to be no cash down payment. It's going to be all debt, all borrowed. Maybe some of it will be grants that are free, but mostly they may turn into debt also. So we split the bottom line between debt and contribution to the reserves. That's all we can pay, and we can't pay no more. So that's a big job of the finance committee to come up with those bottom numbers so that when we reach that moment, we can say for certain, this is how it's got to be. And it can't be any different, because here's what there is and there ain't no more. So we are tasked with that. So that's why we will eventually need direct access to Jody and Randy in Rock USA, not coming secondhand through the ROD committee or anyone else. We have to be able to ask the questions, challenge the answers, scrutinize them, do our own consideration, come back and do that again until we're satisfied that we've got the best answer, the best amount for that line item. Real important line items are insurance and property taxes. So we need to examine those with a microscope, talk to all kinds of people to see what our possibilities are. So that's how we will accomplish the tasks that we are assigned. And it's, we're just barely getting started. We're scratching the surface, but as we get into this more and more, we will come up with reasonable answers that we hope our community can depend on. Thank you.
We're so lucky.
Yes, and another factor in there too is that if we end up in the place that we're heading and as an LAHC, we will not be a for-profit corporation, which means that we're not in the business of profit. We're in the business of bringing money in to spend it on the community here for what the community needs. And the law says that, okay, if the time were ever to come that for some reason we didn't want this place anymore, we have to sell it to a nonprofit, another corporation that cannot make a profit. So, so whatever we buy the park for, we have to consider all of these things that the income and our expenses are balanced and they meet the needs and desires of the people in the community here. Nothing else, absolutely nothing else. Yeah.
So then, just for the minutes, the names of the two subcommittees are long-term budgeting,
A budgets committee.
and the other one is,
The other one is Financial Resources Committee.
oh, thank you,
Subcommittee.
thank you.
Yeah.
I missed that, thank you.
And financial resources, what that means is, okay, what do we're looking at internal resources and external resources. And of course, what we've done so far there is we've looked at a lot of different external resources. Those are things like all the county, other nonprofit corporations that in organizations that provide services. And so we're accumulating those. We'll have those in a book or somewhere very accessible to people here, so that if they need those resources, that it'll be very accessible to them. And also something about how do you access those? Who do you talk to? What are the processes for getting that 3 months rent or whatever it might be, or getting a hold of MCIL to build a ramp and sit in front of your home because you're now in a wheelchair. Things like that. There's many resources out there. So we're scanning the woods for those, and also then looking at some possible internal resources too. So donations, be whatever you call them, other kinds of donations. Yeah, and then grants as well too. So we're looking for all those things, income that will support the community here.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right, is there any more discussion on finances, finance committee and so forth? Okay, let's go on then to, oh, we didn't do public comment? Oh, we've just been talking to ourselves up here? Okay. Then let's open public comment for finances. Juliet.
Hi, Juliet Mortimer McLam, 24 View Ridge. The question that came up for me is we recently got Measure M to pass, correct? Okay.
We recently did what?
Measure M in
Oh,
Novato
yes.
passed. And I think that bodes well for us here at Marin Valley Mobile Country Club because we all went to the meeting and I held my little sign and all that, and so it passed.
We made it pass.
Yeah, we made it pass.
Sure.
So that should bode well for us here in this negotiation for
Yeah.
purchasing our park, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. And let me see, the other thing that I thought of was Susan Wernack is stepping down and a new fellow was voted in her place. that person, is that person a known quantity? Would that person be, sympathetic to our cause or not? Just some thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. David,
Hey there, David Gray, 111 Marin Valley Drive. I have two questions. One is, how many more months do we have left in the ENA, the exclusive negotiating agreement? And the second is, has there been any thought given in the budget committee with regard to, thank you, John, with the effect that the impending tariffs might have on large equipment purchases like air handlers, roofing materials that are probably coming from offshore? Thank you.
any other public comments? Okay, let's bring it back to the board. Thanks for your optimism, David. Um,
May I?
sure, go ahead.
I have met and spoken with Kevin Jacobs many times, who is the newly elected council member taking Susan Warnick's place, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He likes us. He knows us. Yeah. His wife is the person who is the manager of Valley Memorial Park and has been here many times. Sherry, yeah, yeah, and very, very community oriented. They're good people.
Right.
And as for tariffs, what can you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else here on the board? Let's close that for close by item 4, go on to item number 5. Jay, you have manager report.
This kind of, hello, this kind of keys into what has been discussed from the finance group as well, in the sense that the work that Matt does as the manager of MVMCC takes into account those funds that are available out of the budget to maintain and work on improving the quality of life and the infrastructure here. So he's very much restricted by the amount of money that he has available to him, as you'll see in his report. So what happens is that after we pay off the debt and maintain a certain amount over that to assure the lender, that we will be able to maintain enough income to pay for it. Those funds that are left over are what Matt can do to continue to maintain the infrastructure and to do any necessary adjunct repairs to uh, the lots that we have our homes on, and to maintain the ability of the park to function correctly. So we have to interface with the city, who, as owner, oversees any item over $30,000 to be expended. So every item over 30,000 gets referred to their engineering group to be assessed as to when and how this work will be done and how they can schedule it. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that part and parcel of the ENA is this condition report that we're making or will be making up on the infrastructure of the park, in the sense that the park has been around for more than 50 years, and the infrastructure work, the piping and the electrical and the drainage, all that has had 50 more years to essentially mature. And well, in that maturing, the sloughing off of the hillsides necessitate the protection of the lots. So Matt is constantly faced with putting up retaining walls to prevent uh, the the slide of the slopes that would undermine our homes or fall into our homes if it comes down off of a slope into the lot that we're on. So those repairs are based on the weather. Those repairs are based on the maturing of the land and uh, the net effect of having engineered a mobile home park in this particular area 50 years ago and the result of what has happened since that time. So what I'm just bringing this to bear is that what we need to do as residents is to really work closely with management to let them know where there are problems, either in the sense that maybe there's a problem with their carport, maybe there's a problem with a neighbor, uh, dirt from a neighbor's lot starting to move into your area, and you needing to have a retaining wall to prevent that from happening, or in a recent case where part of the lot has sloughed off because of natural erosion, a retaining wall had to be built to protect and to hold that remaining portion of the assigned lot so that it could still be utilized. So that retaining wall plus uh, handrails on top of it, so on and so forth. All those needs have to be assessed by management and then put into categories as to when they need to be done, whether they have to be done immediately, whether they can be put off for 6 months or whatever. So the onus is on both management and us ourselves to keep Matt up to date with the condition of our lots so that he can deal with it. And the stuff that we don't see, the fact that maybe you have what's come up in the last few years is we don't have enough water pressure to operate, your shower. And that very well because the pipes put in 50 years ago have now deteriorated so that they need to be replaced. So all of these issues have to be brought to management so that they can be uh, put on a schedule as to what has to be done immediately and what can be put off for a certain period of time. We would love to be able to just deal with all this at this immediately. But the problem again is that because of the DSCR of 2, a lot of funds that should have normally fall into a budgetary pool that we could draw funds on had to be put off for capital expenditures in the future. So therefore, you can't draw on those funds in the current physical year. And then later on, subsequently, those funds have built up. So we have a large amount of reserves, $6 million, let's say, right now in reserves, but we can't touch that except for capital projects going forward. So what I'm just pointing out to you is that the overreaching effect of having a good condition report is that we will be able to, in the future, budget what our needs are and to carefully budget funds that are necessary for retaining walls or say, for example, the V-ditch around the property, which shuffles the water into the storm drain, so it doesn't end up in our streets or under our homes. So all this is being considered and looked forward to, but we can't fault current management. We can't fault Matt because his inability to do our retaining wall that we really see had to be done tomorrow, where someone else's retaining wall is in a much worse condition than yours. So the needs are carefully assessed by management, and what work can be done is being done. And I'll just point out what he has done over the last month, and that is uh, he has completed uh, a retaining wall with the funds that he has for that. In other words, when you budget the funds, you ascribe a certain amount to different items. So retaining walls are given, let's say, $70,000. So after you spend $70,000, there's just no more funds in the current budget. So you have to wait for either an emergency or until more funds are available, presumably in the following year's budget, and that will scale up that particular need. So he's finished up with the funds that he has for a retaining wall with a safety rail, and that the uh, park's V-ditch gutters and catch basin cleaning is in progress. And again, I'll point out that when we first came here, Liana and I, 10, 11 years ago, the water continually flooded in the area in Club View. If it rained, you would have 6 inches, 8 inches of water in Club View, and you would have to wade through it. And we found that if you cleaned the storm drains, if you pushed all the gravel that is accumulated for the last 40 years and open up the V ditch that goes out across the, the land right behind Clubview and out underneath the SMART train, that water doesn't accumulate in the park. So we've and Matt has continued to upgrade this, so he continues to see that those drains in the storm drains are clean to allow the water to shuffle out. The other big factor that we run into all the time is tree service. When the land was first built here, there were very few trees, but over the last 50 years, people have planted trees. Squirrels and birds and whatever have dropped seeds that have promulgated into large trees. And anything over 4 inches ain't yours. Anything 4 inches is owned by the owner. So therefore, you have to have permission from the owner to remove or do anything with that. So all of the vegetation on your property, if it's bigger than 4 inches, it has to be dealt with by the city and authorized to be done with funds in the budget. So there are uh, a lot of issues with palm trees or with branches hanging over carports that need to be attended to. And again, that has to be scheduled because of the budgetary limitations. But as Steve was pointing out, if and when we actually have the commune organizing this, we'll be able to budget forward
Co-op.
the co-op. Well, it's a community co-op, let's put it that
Yeah.
way, but I appreciate the correction. So the idea is that we will start hopefully to be able to budget for this stuff in advance of it happening and be inclusive in reducing the amount of money that we have to pay to the current owner to gain control over the property. So tree service, we ran out of funds, and emergency work is being contemplated and done with funds that are drawn from other areas that haven't completely been exhausted. There is some work that was necessarily done, which was replacing antiquated gas valves on both the main clubhouse furnace and in the gym changing room.
Mhm.
And now there is a scheduled exhaust flue replacement on the pool's spa heater. So if we are going to keep that running over the winter, we have to do management has to do work to maintain the furnace and whatever in order to keep that running, and that's being worked on. And there's also the need to currently replace the spa pump. And hopefully a lot of this work will come up in the condition report, so we'll know and be able to budget forward 5, 10 years, well, at least 5, for funds that we'll have to accumulate in order to do this work. So that's basically the maintenance work that Matt has been doing over the past month. And again, if you have any problems, please don't sit on them. Bring them to Matt so he can assess how dangerous it is or when the work needs to be done. Now, the question that we all have about what's happening with the infrastructure work and uh, the work that we've budgeted going forward, like the repair of the roof and the electrical switch, Matt has reported the following. That Matt has met with the Nevada Public Works, who oversees this material, this action, uh, to bid out for the defective main electrical switch, which is what we're all very concerned with, that we want to replace that switch as soon as possible. So he has been negotiating with Nevada Public Works to get this high on their schedule of work to be done and to line out exactly what needs to replace and how to replace it. So that is ongoing that he worked on last month. And that is inclusive marking all underground utilities and meeting with the engineering firm for the layout for the new electrical service. So we're looking at both the immediate necessary need for uh, doing that work for that main electrical switch, but also the layout for improving the quality of electrical service within the park itself. Again, when these homes were first built 50 years ago, it was thought that maybe 50 amps or on the outset 100 amps would be necessary to operate your homes. But now with everyone having air conditioning and everyone going to electric rather than gas, then the demands on the amount of power being drawn to each individual home need to be assessed and to brought in line. So we may be able to get along with 100 amp service, but the transformers which feed into the homes are all undersized. In other words, the uh, the transformers which now take the power from that main switch at the top, then distributes it to 5 houses, 8 houses, 10 lots. And the size of those transformers, where the amount of power coming out from that transformer going to those houses is the same. So if you have uh, 8 on one unit and 5 on another transformer and 12 on another, that actually is problematic for getting everyone the amount of power that they need to operate. So the all of those transformers that are now been operational for 50 years are going to be taken out. New modern ones that are able to be switched out immediately. In other words, we actually had to make an old transformer to conform to the whole power grid that we had. And that took many months just to rebuild an old one to make a new one rather than the hundreds that PG&E has for the new 240 supply of electricity. So all that work is being worked on uh, currently, and the estimate is that that switch may be replaced in 1 year. So the question you'll see later on, which is please include the process for extend. What are we going to do if there's a power outage? One of the suggestions we have is divine intervention. So we're going to sponsor a prayer meeting to ask for God to help us to satisfy this more immediate need. So we don't know. We don't really know when this is going to happen. We don't really know if it's going to happen. And because of many different factors, right now, we are just getting the attention of the owner to actually start to do something. And of course, we have our fingers crossed that the same management team in the city will remain long enough to see it through rather than changing horses again in midstream.
Actually, it's going back to the shore and getting a new horse. Yeah.
Anyway, so Matt has met twice in the last month with PG&E to lobby for temporary repairs for getting an electric or getting accurate readings for the amount of power that we've been using. Evidently, for the last year and a half, PG&E doesn't really know how much electricity they've supplied to us, so they're guessing. And the amount of money that we pay obviously is based on those estimates and may change once, well, it never will change because they'll never be able to assess really what the amount of power that we actually use because they haven't had a meter on it for the last year and a half that was functioning. So again, we're going to have another prayer meeting for that.
Is that it, Jay?
No, I'm going to keep going. So,
We can resume tomorrow.
No, we'll still
am I
be
getting
here.
too wordy? Should I cut it shorter?
Yeah, could you?
Go ahead.
All right, just a few more and I'll be out of here. Uh, the Matt and I and the architects and the engineering groups had a meeting last month. And the architect, which seems to be a very competent individual, I was impressed with his ability to understand, foresee, and to develop solutions, has come up with building a plan for the replacement of the roof. And then obviously the next point will be to get the city to put it out for contract. So hopefully that is in the works. The second thing is that Matt has dealt twice with the director of public works for the need to replace the broken HVAC units servicing the clubhouse. So they're looking at ways to mitigate the problem of not being able to heat and cool large portions of the clubhouse with an economical solution for that. And we'll be looking at that with Matt and hopefully making our own advice to the city on how this shall happen. So that concludes.
Well, thanks, Jay. We really know what's going on now. That was great. Thanks a lot. It should mention that, you know, the funding shortfall that we have right now, it's almost artificial. You know, it's the DSCR of 2.0 that we need to meet right now. We can't change that, even though we probably could until the city has their audits up to speed. And then we can go into the bank and take that DSCR and probably drop it down to 1.2. Even with 1.5 would give us an extra $325,000 a year in our
Current
operations
budget.
Yeah, which is a lot, you know. That's a lot. That's more than what was provided by our last rent increase. And the other thing is the insurance. We're paying 300 and something $1,000 for insurance, which should be able to get the same insurance for significantly less, maybe even a third as less. So, you know, there's a lot of money that's just not going to where it should be going for us. So we'll try to deal with our ownership issues more quickly to try to deal with that situation.
So turn it over to the public for public comment, questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we want to make sure that the board here makes their comments first. Any other
Nothing.
comments here, Steve? Okay, public comment.
Hey there, David Gray. David Gray, 111 Marin Valley Drive. I guess I am concerned that, as near as I can tell, there is not a sense of urgency on the part of the city to actually meet our needs as residents with regard to the HVAC, with regard to the roof, with regard to the electrical switch. And with the upcoming tariffs, it is going to cost either the owner or us, whoever happens to be the owner is, through the foot dragging over the past 3 years, it is going to cost us a pretty penny
Yep.
to cover that. So hoping that that gets tossed into the calculations for the purchase price. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Serena.
Do we need to show up at the council meetings with our signs and really protest in a nice way that they are not taking care of us in these urgent matters? I'm happy to do it. I'm sure a lot of people here would join me.
Yeah.
Any other public comment? Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Tom Whedon, 122 Marin Valley Drive. Not sure. I thought I saw this in the agenda. Are we going to discuss the mitigation plan for if the switch fails during this meeting? Is that, I can't see it on, I thought I saw it on the agenda, but I don't see it now. Is that part of something that we're going to discuss?
That is part of where we are right now with
Oh, okay.
with management, yes.
Yeah, so putting in pennies or praying is not an adequate mitigation plan.
Putting in what?
Putting pennies in the switch or praying is not an adequate mitigation plan.
Well, that was.
And we've had switch or portion of the switch, portion of something fail before, for which we've had to get backup generators. So can you detail out what the real mitigation plan is for if it fails? And what is the different actions that people would take, whether it's a brownout or a blackout, or, these were parts of the discussion that we had last month, and I'm not sure how that all fared it out. So we should probably get a handle on that. And the only other thing is, um, does PG&E not know how much energy they supply to the park because the common areas are not metered? Because everything else is metered. Is that why they don't know? You said that PG&E doesn't know how much energy they supply to the park. Well, if everybody's got a meter, they ought to know how much energy was supplied. So, so that doesn't seem to work for me. And why wouldn't they know? Do you know?
Okay. Any
Okay.
other?
After everyone, we'll come back to you. Tom, it's not a question and answer. You raised an issue, comes back to the board, and we'll try and answer your question.
We'll weave it into our comments, but we can't say, I'm answering your question.
I got it. Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead, Julia.
Hi, Julia, again, 24 View Ridge. Yeah, a few months ago, maybe, well, it wasn't last month, month before, I offered my services, my 3 in the morning, internet searches and book searches and stuff to find doomer-fatchers and whiz-bangs for MacGyver-ish solutions to finding little bits and pieces for our, electrical switch and whatnot. But no, seriously, I am good at resourcing things. And David could even vouch for me. I'm kind of amazing at that. So I put forth again my services to help you find whatever parts you might need for our antiquated electrical switch.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, let's bring it back to the board then. First, David's comments about the city being fairly slow in doing what they're doing with us and the issue of prices going up. We've been, actually, it's been happening for several years that, inflation rate has been, the real inflation rate has been about 10%. And yeah, if the city budget was a totem pole, well, we'd be at ground floor, maybe underneath it. So yeah, we're at the bottom of what the city considers with their budgets along the way, even though I guess because we're not on their budget, we're on ours, even though it's theirs. Go figure what that means. So yeah, so fortunately, I think when we do own the park ourselves, then we'll be able to stay on top of these things much better. We'll be right on top of things all the time. That I wish I could promise that. I almost can, but there's a long ways to go before we get to that. Yeah. And then, okay, as far as Tom's comment, and that is that Jay, you can help me along the way here, but I think that as far as a plan to deal with a power outage, a like when the switch goes, uh, most of that is not in our realm to do anything with. That's the city. So the city does work pretty well in retrospect. And so if we lose power, they're the ones that will find the generators and bring them in. We have absolutely nothing to do with that. But what we can do, and what we'll be doing with through AMBES, we already have a protocol for power out and how to manage that. But what we don't have in that protocol is the situation where we have a very long-term power outage. And the thing is, we will have power restored through the generators, so it's not going to be a major power outage, but we will have those generators coming in to do that. We'll have to pay for those, though. They're very expensive. And Jay, do you remember how much they were from the
200,000
Yeah, $200,000 for
or
that.
about a month.
Yeah,
About right.
yeah. So probably
That was just for Club View, not
and
the
that
whole
wasn't
park.
that wasn't the whole park. So we can look at about $1 million a month, something like that. That's why we've been jumping on this and jumping on the city to try to get this done, because when it goes out, it is a major, major disaster that we have nothing, there's virtually nothing we can do but complain and and push buttons as well as we can. Matt has been doing that. Jay has been doing that. I've been doing that. So things are starting to move here after several years. And it's unfortunate, it's going to be another year before it's up. So that's why Jay says that, okay, we'll hold our prayer sessions. And that's almost all we can do right now.
So, I mean, what
Yeah.
a further explanation is that when we had that initial collapse of the electrical system down on Club View, we came in and started to look backwards as to what was working and what had failed. And it became very evident at that particular time that major transfer switch on the top of the hill was antiquated and was in bad repair. So this had been brought to the city ever since that time, and we have pounded the table uh, every 2x2 session, every budget session, uh, every chance we had to talk with the engineering staff at the city that this needed to get done ASAP. So this goes back a number of years to that initial collapse of the system down here on Club View. But when you look at the transfer switch, you could see where the switch had actually arced and had burned out part of the equipment in the room itself that needed to be uh, minorly repaired to allow it to function. And we've been trying since that time to renovate and completely take it out and put in a new one. And the city keeps on putting it on the back burner. That's the big problem, that we keep on bringing it up and the city says, well, any problem, and this will speak directly to your question about what are we going to do if it fails, we can't do anything. In other words, anything over $20,000 has to be, or 30,000, has to be overseen by the city. So it is the city's responsibility to take care of getting that up to speed. And we've been saying it has to be done ASAP, and we are where we are because there has been a series of new city managers over the past couple of years who haven't taken up that problem for us. So you get a new city manager, they get a new team in to assess what needs to be done on their end and what needs to be assessed for MVMC. They come up with a plan of action that may or may not have, well, it hasn't happened over the last 5 years. And now we've got a new city manager who seems to be much more amenable to helping us. And she's got a set protocol that she has to follow. She's following that protocol, and we just, like I say, we need to have a prayer meeting to pray to God that nothing happens until she gets to the end of her analysis and a way forward to get this work done.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
At the risk of stating the obvious, I think this is a perfect example of why the city should never have owned us in the first place. That's not what a city does. A city fixes potholes and does parks and rec. And they don't know how to be landlords, obviously. So, they this instance is a perfect example of how they have to go legally by certain they have certain requirements, and they're bureaucrats. I mean, the positive and negative, this is a bureaucracy, and so things have to go like this. And when there's a new public works director, there's a new city manager, oh, now there's no this, new that, oh, well, we'll talk to you next month, talk to you 6 months from now. So it's just this particular thing is a perfect example of how, because it's important to us, doesn't mean it's important to the city. But if we own the park, we'd be able to deal with it and not
Yes.
wait for somebody else.
And all of your friends out there in the park who think that we should stay with the city, you might relate this to them because they don't come to the meetings here to find out why we need to go off on our own. So yeah, so if you
Yeah.
can let somebody else know that, spread the word. So
They have to think the city's a nice warm blanket,
yeah,
take care of us. That is not the case. And if they would come to these meetings, they would see that and it only gets worse. So
mhm,
we're on the right track, folks.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments here on this item? Then let's go on then to a report from MVest and Firewise. Bill,
Oh, you're still awake.
yes, sort of.
Sorry. That was comment about us, not about you.
You didn't like my presentation?
Bill Davis, 5 View Ridge. The past 7 days have been rather interesting, and we've gone from a red flag warning to a torrential rain. A red flag warning when we had dry fuels on the ground, right? Low humidity and winds ripping around to rip up a fire, get it going, jump into this park and make a devastation in this place. And now, rain. Are you feeling better?
Yes.
Good. So is the fire department. MVest has stepped forward aggressively with the fire agency department to get them to cut the trees properly, get the city to cut the trees They slashed the budget from what, $75,000 down to $25,000? The next year, all these trees are going to be much worse. So John Hanson and myself crafted a letter and sent it to the fire marshal, who is sending it to the city to say, you got to do this now because you can't do it later. The birds will be nesting, A, and B, it's going to be twice as bad maybe next year because you didn't do what you needed to do this year. So that's been put forward. That letter's been crafted. I have not seen the letter sent to the city yet. I requested that be given to me and I haven't seen it. So I'll report at the next meeting, hopefully good news. But that, I think, is the highest priority that we have cooking right now, from my point of view, safety in this community. Questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh.
Bill. Any,
I did want to make a point,
sure.
and this is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I think the PAC board needs to squawk more in the front of the city council to take that 3-minute opportunity to weigh in and say, these are issues here. You're the landlords. You need to do something about it. Send 1 or 2 people at every meeting, but somehow in some way get in their face. This has been, we have a new city manager. We have Measure M has passed.
Yeah.
So they can do things now that they couldn't do before. So if we're not high on that list, it's because we're not pushing it. And how does most politics work? Pressure, right?
Thanks, Phil. Comments from the board here.
Hey, lobbyists.
Well, yeah, I agree. You know, it'd be good if some of us went to the meetings, but let me tell you where I am on that, quite frankly. I spend almost all day, every day working here for the park. I don't want to spend my evenings going to the city council meetings. So if somebody else can step up and do that for us, a committee of folks here our communications committee might be the best to formulate that. But I think it's a great plan, Bill. We really should have people there. On my left? Yes, she does already. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's open this to public comment then.
Serena Fisher, 6 Ridge. I just want to say that this conversation around the switch and the trees and everything has just infuriated me. And I agree with Bill that the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and we were very effective when we showed up 150, 200 strong at the council meetings. And I think we need to do it. So I think that's gather the forces and next city council meeting, let's do our protest presentation and get it going and keep that pressure up.
John.
I'd like to second what Serena just added, but we have to get on the agenda. That's really if we do it in public comments, it just gets lost. So if we can get on the agenda, that would be better. I don't know how to do that, but my other point from being up here is MVEST is a volunteer organization. We have 6 people on the board out of 420 something people in the park. We have we had a request for all the block captains to come forward. 5 people turned up. We need people to step up and take responsibility for our safety along with everybody else. It's our park. We have to work to make it safe. And the best way you can do that is to participate in MVEST. And I encourage people to come in and join the standing committee, join the block captains, whatever it takes. But it would be really nice if we had more than 12 people in the park worrying about our safety. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So the question of how do you get something on the agenda with the city? Well, the agenda is set by the mayor and the city manager. If a city council member requests something to be put on the agenda, then it's up to them to put it on or not. So if we're asking that in public comment, sending letters to your, who the mayor right now happens to represent us, we're going to get on there. But without pushing it, we're not going to get there. So I'll try to craft that with my wife right now, later today, tomorrow, and get a letter off. And then I'll be going to the next city council meeting. They need to know. I think they care. They just don't know.
Thank you, Bill. Any other public comments here? Okay, John, do you have one? Okay, let's bring it back to the board then. And I have one concern. I agree we need to put pressure on the city, but my concern is how much when. And I don't want to. If we're going to mobilize people here in the park, I don't want to do that. What I think we need to do is choose our battles. If we do this too much with the residents here, then they'll probably lose interest in doing that. So I think if we plan it well and really choose our battles, it's an excellent strategy for doing these things.
I agree. And if we're talking about the electrical switch and the clubhouse roof, that's already in process.
Mhm.
They have their things they have to do. That's what I was trying to say before. And their timelines and we're in there. We're on the timeline already. So maybe it's not the time to do that, especially when we're in starting these negotiations. So I don't know. It's hard to know.
Yeah, well, if there's other things that we need to really press on, Jay is our operations director, so works with Matt, works with Helsing on operations and CIPs or capital projects, I should say. Then yeah, he can probably let us know what the next items are that we need to press on.
I tend to agree with John to be careful on how we use our ammunition, so to speak. I think we definitely, I like Bill's idea of one or two people going to these meetings and bringing up these issues so that we have not only a record, but we keep it fresh in the minds of the council people. The fact that we've worked very hard and were helpful in getting M passed gives them a lot more money to deal with their immediate needs. And we don't want to get slipped behind those needs without addressing ours. So keep a very light pressure on them, letting them know the circumstances around our needs and our needs. I think if we keep that in front of them, eventually someone is going to rise up and grab it. I mean, when you go fishing, you throw bait on the water with the hope that eventually a fish then grabs it. So if we keep putting out our needs rather than quarterly or whatever, where we have now, where they have actually a plan to address these needs, but they're pushed out like a year in advance. I think if we keep on going to them and saying, hey, we don't have heating, we don't have air conditioning in the clubhouse, we're very concerned about the transfer switch failing. Uh, if we just gently keep on nudging them so they know this is happening, that may give them added pressure to point their resources in our direction. So I agree that we should gently keep on nudging them without going there with 200 people, because they already said they're going to do what has to be done, and it's going to take a year to do it. But we need to keep on the pressure to get them to move as quickly as possible.
Well,
Hey,
another aspect of that is that now that their Measure M is passed, they're going to be real busy in implementing that. That means, since we're still at the bottom of the totem pole, that means that our presence there is even more critical now that they're busy. So we should listen to Bill
Okay.
and see what we can do to get this together.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on, where are we? Firelight.
Invest.
Yeah.
That was
MVest.
Invest.
Okay, let's go on then to HOL. John.
Thank you. This is the HOL report. I'm going to read some things because I don't have a good memory. We have a few events coming up. Tomorrow is game night in the fireside room. This Friday we have Jeannie Skybrook singing in the fireside room after pub. We have the last Monday lecture. This month, the last Monday of the month, will be a speaker from the Buck Institute coming to talk about aging. And next year we'll have Bill Hartwell coming back to do another concert here. Roland Root and the Broadway Market will not be working on Thanksgiving Day and on Christmas Day. The farmers market doesn't work on Christmas Day either, or on Thanksgiving Day. Extra food, the boutique food, the Breezeway food program, really would like to have a couple more volunteers. It's not for a regular process, but just in case people get sick or move away, or go out of town for some reason or other. And we're doing fine, but we could do with a couple more hands if that's possible. It's actually fun. You get to meet a lot of the community, and you're doing a really wonderful job for everybody here. At least I think it's a wonderful job. The newcomers meeting last month, nobody turned up, so we're going to delay it until the spring.
Wow.
And we had an important topic to discuss, and we will try it again in the spring. David Gray is going to be doing his presentation that he did 2 months ago, last month, I can't remember, 2 months ago, on his safari visit. And it will be in this room, and it'll be on December 8th at 7 o'clock. And if you didn't see it, you missed an amazing event. And if you did see it, you're like me, you'll probably want to see it again. A lot of people have asked to see it again, and it's amazing. And also David's going to have the next artist in the corridor will be David Gray, and that's coming in December. HOL has had their Volunteers of the Year, and we have 3 volunteers this year. Jill Boland, who runs the food program and is an amazingly hard worker and spends probably 2 hours more than most of us at the Breezeway, and it's probably 4 or 5 times a week that she is there. And like today, the people said, "Oh, I don't want to drive in the rain," so they drove here an hour early in the rain instead of waiting until it stopped. So we all had to jump out and come an hour early, but Jill organized that, and she's been a wonderful resource. The second volunteer is Anne Lakota, who does all of our minutes, and she volunteers for pretty much everything that HOL does, and we're incredibly grateful for all the work she does. Her minutes are spectacular. And our third volunteer, we've never had three before, is Ed Collins, who does the dump run. And again, he's involved in pretty much everything that's going on in HOL. We've decided not to put more names on the plaque after these three because we've been buying a new plaque, and most of the HOL people didn't know where the plaque was, and I'm sure most of you don't know where the plaque is. It's in a corner of the library on the wall, but nobody looks at it, so we're not going to continue to do the plaque. Our chair yoga teacher quit in October, and we're looking for a new yoga teacher. There's a slight chance that John Marino will come back, which he's coming to do a trial to see if his body is up to it. And if he does, then we'll be welcoming him back very eagerly because he was a great teacher. Otherwise, we need another teacher, and we're looking already. HOL is part of the search for a park historian. And as you've probably heard, there's a lot of really important information that's happening every month, thanks to PAC, thanks to Rod, and thanks to everybody in the park who does extraordinary things for us as a community. And if we don't have a historian, they disappear. All these events just fade away, and we've just had, over the last year and a half, a search for all of these documents in the park. If there was somebody who was just collecting at least the minutes of the meetings, if nothing else, but photographing events and special events and people like the Gay Pride March. If nobody has any formal record of that, it just disappears. If the 2 or 3 people who organized, 5 or 6 people who organized the Gay Pride thing were to move, it might just fade and nobody would remember it. So we really want to be able to remember it for everybody and for the future people. And we'll also make really interesting reading in the Echo. This date 5 years ago, so and so and so and so happened, whatever. HOL has started a battery recycling program. It's called the Marin Valley Waste Center, I think, right now. That might change because it's not really garbage, it's recycling. But we're recycling lots and lots of batteries, regular batteries, lithium ion batteries, rechargeable batteries, and so on and so forth, and fluorescent lights and different lights that can't go in the trash. And very soon we're going to have toner and ink replacement, recycling, and we'll look for other things. We're going to do medical, we were going to do medicine recycling, but we're not allowed to do that. You have to do that yourself. And the other thing that we're looking at is paint recycling, because it seems that everybody has some paint in their shed and it's mostly dry, but you're not allowed to throw it away. So it just needs to be taken to the recycling. We can all do it ourselves, but people don't. And it's free, so I encourage you to do it. On Redwood Boulevard, you can take it in, and they don't even let you unload it. They come and unload it themselves. I think that's it, actually. If you've got any questions, I'd love to answer them.
John, yeah, I do. The 3 volunteers that you mentioned, those wonderful people, you are going to put their names on the plaque in the library.
And that'll be the last time we use the plaque.
All right.
Partly because we've lost our plaque maker.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Anybody else on the board
Thank
here?
you.
Public comments here? Public comment.
Who's this?
Oops.
I just want to thank everybody who has devoted their time in this community to make it function so well. This volunteerism is really what makes this community so special. And from the PAC board to HOL, the wonderful people who are there nearly every day with the food, such appreciation. We are very, very fortunate to live in a caring, contributing community. And it would be great if more people would find a place to contribute their talents and time. So I just want to say how grateful I am that I live in this community where volunteerism is really highlighted. And I think the battery supply place is fabulous. I'm so happy to see it. And I think a lot more people will use it knowing that it's there now. And I look forward to the paints and other additions. Thank you.
I'd like to just add that Lou Damerol organized
Yeah.
that paint recycling and battery recycling, not the paint, but the battery and light bulb recycling. He's done an awful lot of work and we're very grateful to him. And one other thing, just on what Serena just said, yesterday I went to a party in Belmarine Keys and I met somebody who lives in a mobile home park in Sonoma. It's called 7 Flags or 12 Flags. I can't remember what it's called. but
7.
7.
he said that they have a great volunteer program. 9 people are on it. And I said, we've got 17 people in our food recycling program. You've got to step up. But he thought 9 people was great. So, and they've got 380 people in their park.
Similar,
All right.
kind of like when Dean Mosier's representative said, and we have one party a year. I'm thinking, we have one every week.
At least.
At least, yeah, way more than that.
Well, speaking of which, next item is report from Marvell. And I see Carolyn is on the Zoom. Is Carolyn, are you going to do it, or Carol Joy, are you going to do it for her, or how's this going to work?
Carolyn,
Carolyn, do you want to speak for Marvell?
okay.
Is that a yes?
It's a yes that I'll be happy to have Carol Joy do it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Carolyn. Carolyn did send me this, and that is the Marvell Thanksgiving dinner is sold out, and to be placed on the wait list, please call Susan Hopp. The Marvell holiday event will be December 14 with sign-up starting November 23. The Lee Waterman Trio will be entertaining us with holiday music throughout the evening. Oh, so please sign up early. And you know, the Lee Waterman Trio is the one that plays at the Jazz Brunch, and they're excellent. The Marin Valley DJs from the dancing group will once again be our MCs for New Year's Eve. Tom Whedon will be piping us into the new year with the playing of Auld Lang Syne. And there will
Right.
not be a dry eye in the house. Oh, no, it doesn't say that. Please join us for our holiday celebrations. And that was the report from Carolyn Corey, Marvell president.
Public comment. Discussion on the board?
Parties.
Well, thank you for the report. And that finishes up item D. We go now to item E, old business. The first item is update on ad hoc city council committee. Do we have one of them? Oh, yes, we do. That's me. And Jay. We have nothing to report here because things are still nothing to report. Let's just leave it there.
Is there a meeting planned?
There is nothing planned at this point.
I believe the direction is that we're waiting for the ENA to be completed.
Well, we're waiting for, some of the feedback from the ENA before we take our next step. So, that we've We've done what we can do right now on the ENA and submitted that to the city and requested feedback, and that has yet to materialize. So that's where that is right now, but that's not going to keep us from moving forward on other things that we need to do. Any public comment on that item? Okay, anything else from the? Okay, let's go on then to number 2, update on work and legal counsel, with legal counsel and fundraising for that. Anything there, Steve?
I can talk about the fundraising part.
Okay,
Since ending the first effort with Hanson Bridget and culminating in the ENA, after that we started phase 2 of fundraising, and we have raised $28,667. We recently spent $10,914 to pay legal fees from Goldfarb and Littman. And current bank account balance is $17,683. People continue to give regularly. Thank you. And we don't have any large pending bills at the moment, so we're okay, but keep it coming.
great. Thanks, Steve. Any comments?
No
Oh.
bills payable at the moment.
Public comment. Okay, let's go on then to item 3, and that is discussion and possible action regarding home replacement procedure.
I'll introduce that item. I asked Matt to give me a report to read at this meeting, and he saw this agenda item. What he sent me was 5 different, let's see, items, each one consisting of several pages that are the things that a resident needs to do when they want to replace their home. So it's things like what you need to do to get your permits and all the sign offs for that, all the legal specs about, how much of the, I was interested in the fact that only 75% of the lot can be covered by the unit. So anyway, all those things and architectural permit process, all these sorts of things, but nothing about what I thought we were concerned with, which is the procedures for instance, notification of neighbors, traffic, timing.
Day of delivery.
Yeah, and also not just delivery, but the one that's taken out as well, both ends of that. And that was over this weekend, and I haven't heard back. I think Matt had today as a holiday. I'm not sure, but he did forward a bunch of things to me over the weekend. They weren't really what I was looking for. So we don't really have, I don't really have any report about this. I think my perspective is that this is something that needs to be in the rules and regulations. And that Matt said in his email to me, oh, there's something in section 8 in the current rules and regulations. I read all the way through section 8 and it has a lot of stuff in there and nothing about the kinds of things we're talking about, notifications to neighbors. And somebody had suggested maybe having a Helsing staff member overseeing, or not overseeing, but at least present when when these things are happening. So we can't get any changes to the rules and regulations right now because of all the legal things that we have to go through to get changes to the rules and regulations. And so I believe, it's my opinion, that we're going to have to wait until we have real rules and regulations that are enforceable and that we all have voted on when we all are members of the co-op and make our own rules. So in the meantime, I guess we're just going to have to muddle through and perhaps work on what we want them to, how we want to address this in our rules and regulations when we get them. And by the way, there is a rules and regulations committee that is or will be forming to do this
For
if
the-
and when we become an LEHC.
Oh,
Yeah,
I bet it'll take a lot less time than the 10 years we've been waiting for the city.
yeah. Well, the current rules and regulations are dated 2008.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Mhm.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I'm sorry, but that's the way it stands right now, in my opinion.
Okay. Anything else on the board on this? Public comment?
Yeah, I would just like to say we've just had a new house put in in Clubview Drive, and we got a message from Matt saying they're coming and to be very careful. And it went, he was absolutely right on the timing, and everything went just as he said it would. Beg your pardon?
It was a day off.
It- Okay, I beg your pardon. I
But-
thought it was, I'm probably a day off too. So, but he did try and get it there anyhow. And we appreciated it. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Mr. Gump?
Alan Gump, 6 View Ridge Drive. Since we obviously don't want to go through an attempt to get the rules changed because of the time and the cost, the attorney cost, et cetera, I would suggest that the Vice President of Operations work with Park Management to develop a protocol to cover some of the things that we're talking about for removing and bringing in new buildings so that we can avoid some of the problems that happened down on Marin Valley in the summertime regarding the near disasters with blowing out the pedestal, et cetera. So we clearly dropped the ball on that as a community in terms of oversight. I don't know that we have to have that incorporated in the rules. We ought to be able to come up with a procedure that we implement on our own as park management to get that done. Thank you.
good idea.
Thanks, Ellen.
May I add something? Oh, I'm sorry.
I live on Club View. I don't know if this, um, okay, I live on Club View, and I thought house moving went really well. We were all informed, nobody got bothered, and, went really well. I thought it was really good. So,
Yeah. Well, most of the time, that's how it is. So what I wanted to add was Matt told me that the companies that do the transport, which are hired by the companies that do that are the manufacturers, are very hard to work with. They tell you one thing and they do another. They say, we're going to come on Tuesday and they come on Monday or Wednesday, or they won't tell you when they're coming. And this is an the transport company tells the manufacturing company one thing and then does another. So the manufacturing company, the go-between, tells Matt, oh, they're going to be there on Tuesday. That's what they told us. And then they arrive some other day. So it's hard for Matt to have correct information because he doesn't get it. And even in this case where it went very smoothly, I got that robocall too, and it was a day off, you know, but yeah, it's just, it's tough in that industry because, you know, they're taking them long distances. And so they're probably coming from Merced and yeah, I don't know.
They drive all night, you know.
Yeah, or
drive all morning.
Oregon or San Diego or something.
Well, it's a real challenge to get one of those things over Altamont Pass if it's windy. So, you know, they have their challenges. So, you know, but they shouldn't give us, say, a date. They should give us a window. That's more realistic, I think. So, but there's things that we can do, I think. There are things that we can do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion here on this issue? Okay, so let's go on then to new business. We have one item there. It's discussion and possible action regarding upgrade to ballroom technical capabilities. That has to do with
Sound.
everything that's here, the video, the sound, PowerPoint, you know, everything on presentations. You know, like we're doing 3 of these this week and that's just the boards. And there's other presentations. David is doing presentations and you know, so there's more of these coming down the pike. So we have the technology to do this, but we've pieced it together so that things kind of work, thanks to David. And but there's a lot that can help us in the process. There's a little room back there where the Wizard of Oz stands, and
The mixer.
yeah, and yeah, the mixer goes in there, and there's other things. It's a locked room, but you know, it's not very effectively used. And since we use this material, this equipment a lot, what we'd like to do is organize that room. We'd like to build in a cabinet there, actually have it built by Matt and his consultants. So what we'd like to do is what I would like to do here, and you guys can fill in, is to ask Matt to build a cabinet in the back room there. And I think if we have a board action to do that, that will happen. So if we can get that done, that will make our setup time so much better. We'll be able to find everything because it's organized and in the right place and it's locked up, so it's not going to wander. And we can just do a good job every time instead of when, you know, every once in a while.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there money involved in new equipment as well, or just the cabinetry and the labor for that, and then you have the equipment that you need?
Well, I can answer that. I think I'll ask Dave to fill in, but I think we have the equipment that works. A lot of this equipment is mine. A lot of it is David's. A lot of it is John's. It's all been, you know, sort of donated, but not really. We just had to bring it in because it's needed. And so my feeling is that there's not much in the way of equipment or supplies that we need to purchase. It's more the facility. There might be a cable here and there that would be good to get. You know, some of our HDMI cables are a little funky, and some of our USB cables that are in that same category. So it would be good if we could do some of that, but that's incidental. That's really small apples.
So the money for the cabinetry and the
Mhm.
labor would come from the PAC budget, the $6,000.
If there's other
Possibly.
money around, it's not necessarily PAC. It's not.
Oh, right, of
yeah.
course.
No, it's the ballroom. So you're saying all this sound process would be better if we build a cabinet in the closet?
Yes, absolutely. Right now, we have stuff going into the PAC room there, just kind of taking up space in there.
Stuff
And-
isn't where it
It's
should be.
everywhere.
Exactly. So it's
Okay.
all over the place and it's
Yeah,
uncoordinated.
got it.
Jay,
Yeah, happened to be in the Breezeway Boutique, and I saw a big advertisement from someone who's closing down their office. And uh, in that, I saw lots of tables and cabinets and bookshelves and this and that. If that hasn't all disappeared, maybe we would approach that person to see if he would donate to the PAC some equipment that could be modified to accommodate our need.
Unfortunately, in that cabinets or that closet, the space is really limited. It's small, and it needs to be a custom build in there. We do have right now one of Steve's file cabinets that we're gonna use as a sort of a makeshift, but that will help. That's one step, but we need 10. And the 10 steps really will be facilitated by building that closet in there, the closet within the closet.
I'd like to move to direct Matt to work with whoever he needs to work with to get the cabinet built so that the ballroom technical capabilities are upgraded.
If that even includes working with Steve on his equipment too. Thank you, Jay.
My
Or
stuff's
working
all
with
free.
whoever he needs to work with.
That's right.
But the PAC board needs to direct Matt to get it done. and then-
Exactly. That's right.
You don't have a budget in mind yet.
No, we need to see what the capabilities are of Matt's carpenter. I think would be the best
Well,
person there
let's
to
direct
see
him
what his
to
costs are.
proceed with a plan or
Mhm.
to come up with a budget.
Yeah, that's easily done.
Okay, but then we'll have to wait for our next PAC board meeting to approve it. Can you
I
wait?
Or should
prefer
we-
not to, but
Well,
yeah, this is
Should
the
we,
process.
can we put some
A limit?
a limit and say, look, if it's under $1,000, just proceed.
I'm sure it would be under 1,000, but
Well, then,
yeah, that sounds good.
okay,
I don't know where the money's going to come from. I have to work that with Matt, but he's good at.
he knows where to find it in the
yeah.
budget. Okay, so up to a limit of 1,000, I amend by motion.
Okay. Anything else, Dave?
All right. So David Gray, 111 Marin Valley Drive. First things first, I don't want to see any living space in this cabinet. I am not moving in.
Any what?
Living space.
I'm not going to live in the cabinet.
Okay.
So anyway,
Good.
there's some design work involved. It'll take some time for us as the tech team to make sure that we've covered all the bases.
Yeah. Yeah. Take your time and get it right.
Yeah, the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that would be equipment related, that would be a larger ticket item, would be a dedicated computer for us to use rather than us bringing in whatever computer whoever happens to be around happens to have. So,
Great idea.
Yep. So I can provide some.
That way you're working with the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
Once you get it right, it stays.
How much,
Big difference.
how much do those cost? I don't even know.
The low end is somewhere around $600 for something that might
So let
last
me,
a few years, and the higher end would probably be over $1,000 to maybe $1,500.
okay, so let me,
2,000.
amend my motion to say up to a limit of $2,000. And then that would cover the labor and the,
Cabinet and computer.
yeah?
If you made it 2,500,
I'm gonna say 3. That's the
Okay.
limit. If he comes in at 2, great.
beautiful.
Okay,
Beautiful.
so
3
I've
going
amended
once?
the motion
Thank you.
a couple times.
And it'll be under that. So.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so that's the motion.
I guess I just wanted to say with regard to the team, this is a great team of people to work with. I've been working hard recently to make sure that things go most smoothly in terms of labeling things better, organizing things better, so that what we're dealing with comes together more quickly, more readily. And if somebody's out of town, things will progress smoothly. So I guess I don't have, oh, we do have one small piece of equipment that I have bought that is coming in for testing purposes that'll make this video switching stuff happen the way it normally does in a production environment rather than trying to use a remote that's, anyways, it's really, this will be improved and will get better. And our ability to provide services to the park in terms of intelligible information to all members in the room, on the Zoom calls, will be top notch.
Consistently.
Thank you, David.
Any questions? Oh, no, seriously, thank you guys.
So there's a motion on the floor.
Okay, discussion on the motion? Oh,
So
we used to second it first.
This is a request of Matt. How are we couching
Well,
this?
Yeah, let's get the second first. Is somebody seconding it?
Second.
Okay,
Okay, Steve.
now we can discuss again more.
So we're proposing that we spend park money on this project. And I guess it'll be a request of Matt,
Mhm.
request to Matt.
Yeah, that's what we do. We direct Matt to
Yeah.
do
And
something.
although we said it doesn't have, it's not necessarily a PAC expense, since the PAC budget of 6,000, spending so far this year is zero. If he has trouble squeezing it into something else, he could certainly
You could.
go on the PAC budget.
Mhm. He can collect shavings from a number of different,
He does that. He
yeah.
moves stuff around.
he's good at that.
Okay.
Okay, more discussion. Okay, go ahead, John.
I just want to thank David for all the work he does. We take about an hour to set up and about 30, 40 minutes to break down every meeting. It's a lot of work. And as you've probably seen in the past, we don't get it right a lot of the time. But thanks to David's organizing, we now have a really detailed plan, and we put it together today and it worked really well. David has done a remarkable job, and we are all very thankful to him.
Yeah, here it is.
So you have it nailed down and it will be repetitive. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Gump, 6 View Ridge. I'm going to assume that what you just did is in accordance with any procurement procedures that govern these sorts of projects. Just want to put that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kangaroo court sort of thing, but.
With PAC, it's more of a request than a procurement.
Yeah,
We have no
that's right.
power yet.
All in favor?
Oh, wait, there's
Wait,
more.
but this,
Oh,
this becomes property of the park. No, I mean, everything as opposed to
whatever the park buys,
MVC.
the park owns,
see.
the city owns.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Although PAC's an independent contractor. Oh, no, it's the city is giving us our 6,000, so I guess it's theirs. Just
Well,
spent for our purposes.
that's right. What belongs to the city is on their inventory. Those will go on the inventory. But it's just it's a
We
cabinet,
need it.
you know,
I
it's
mean,
not a big deal.
yeah. It's like the chairs. The chairs belong to the city. They come in,
Yeah.
take inventory and, yeah, okay.
Do we need to do a little fundraising campaign?
Have your name put on the back of a chair or on a cabinet.
We'll see what Matt says.
I've long thought about having a name put on the back of one of the bar stools, but
Okay, did we vote?
No.
I think we did.
oh, no, we didn't.
Okay, then, all in favor? Okay, done deal. All right, so that's all the new business. Determination of the next PAC board meeting will be Tuesday, December 3. Okay, at 5 o'clock. And with that, adjourn the meeting.
7:10. See you tomorrow night, same people, different board.
Yeah.